Welcome back, John. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Craig?
Good. I just want to point out that your mouth is covered by your chyron there.
Thank you.
All right, that looks a little better. We might as well see if we can jump right into this. This is
Yeah.
uh, it's not what I have up in my notes. Give me a second. Today we unpack Jeffrey Hitton's. Okay, let's start again. Today we unpack Jeffrey Hitton's stark warnings on AI. Massive unemployment, soaring profits for a few, and what founders, workers, and policymakers should actually do next. We'll separate headline shock from practical strategy so you leave with some clear moves, not anxiety. So we have a huge warning that jobs are all going away and we're all going to be poor in the future. What's going on here, John?
Yeah. So Hinton's his core argument it centers on structural economic incentives rather than technological limitations. So what he's saying is what's actually going to happen is rich people are going to use AI to replace workers. It's going to create massive unemployment and a huge rise in profits. It's also going to make few people much richer and most people poorer. And he's saying it's not AI's fault. He's saying that's how the capitalist system works. And so this is a fundamental critique of how market forces drive AI deployment. So, unlike previous technological revolutions where new industries emerge to absorb displaced workers, Hinton is suggesting that AI's general purpose nature means it can replace cognitive work across multiple sectors simultaneously, which essentially could create unprecedented displacement without equivalent job creation in new industries. And it's nothing new, but getting it from the godfather of AI or hearing it from the godfather of AI just has a different ring to it. What are your thoughts, Craig? What do you think about this?
Well, I've been talking in general about this even before, we've had this, obviously, because you said this is not the first time we heard it, but hearing it from the Godfather AI kind of validates all the stuff we've been talking about. And we have two schools of thought. Hey, let's do everything with AI, and oh, I hate AI. And yeah, there's a middle ground in between. AI is going to take all our jobs, and it's going to kill us all. And I'm kind of AI will kill us all, but it's inevitable from a you can't stop the flood.
Yeah.
You know, when we move to the printing press, if you're still writing things by hand, you're going to be left behind. When we move to factories, if you're still doing things a different way, you're going to be left behind. When these things shift, you're going to be left behind. So, the rule of thumb and the mantra is, and I don't, it's only partially true. AI won't replace your job. People who know how to use AI will replace your job.
Yeah.
So, one person with the right AI tools can do the job of several people. So what is that that's the same thing with the printing press, same thing with, when we went from hand driven plows to tractors, when the farms this is another revolution. So we'll call it the AI revolution. And we can sit back and say capitalism is driving it, which is definitely partially true. And we're in the middle of a AI bubble that will burst because, take a look, just Google all the AI investments. There's trillions of dollars in it, and there's no way they're going to get that investment back. So we'll have a few winners at the end of this, which is fine. It's just the way it goes, and everyone's scrambling to be one of them. But militarily and from a government control point of view and world domination, countries can't afford to not do it. So, because if you're as a country, you don't have weapons, defenses, AI tools that can deter, defend against other people using those tools, you're screwed.
Yeah.
So to say that we shouldn't be doing this, it's going to be massive layoffs and jobs. Well, it's true, but it's coming, and the alternative is that we're no longer a free country. Someone else with AI weapons takes us over in 20 years. So what do you do about that? And I sit back a little bit because there's a lot of negativity towards AI. When you talk about it, some people are like, oh, you can't mention, this or that or whatever, because people get offended. They think AI is going to take their job and this and that. Okay, but it's here and it's happening and it's now. So do you want to learn how to use these tools to do these things? And we really need to take a step back and say the creative spark, the AI doesn't have what humans have. And I work with AI every day and it suggests all sorts of things. And then I have to say, no, well, let's do it this way and bring it back and design a thing or work with it away in a creative solution that it would never think of. And it also can't take something in a completely unrelated field and creatively apply it to this. Say, oh, I saw something in the automotive industry that when they use windshield wipers and the intermittent timer, that we can apply that over here for something else. It doesn't necessarily automatically think that way. So we have to say it's here to stay. The job threats are happening. If you hadn't noticed, even before this year, we've had lots of talks about at the beginning of the year, we're talking about how much job loss there is, 20,000, 30,000. Every first quarter in the last few years has been massive job loss in the tech sector. We're still experiencing that, though a lot of it is blaming AI now, which is partially true because a lot of these companies are getting AI tools and stuff in place. But I also think it's a lot of corporate bloat. I think people are starting to understand the economics is changed, that we've had a good run for a while and we now need to shrink our staff, and we will do blame it on whatever it takes to get a lean, mean, more efficient machine, because we can't afford to run with people only working 25% of the day. When people are working from home, they're not really giving their full time. When this has happened and that happened, our managers aren't really doing input. What used to take our development team half a day to do now takes 2 weeks because we have all this stuff and red tape and stuff in the way. How do we streamline these things? And so that when it comes to massive layoffs, we have the combination of technology and society and economics coming together saying we can't afford to do things the same way. What tools do we have to change it? And how do we cover those things up? We've all worked for, I don't know about all of us, but I've worked for several enterprises that when they cover the layoffs with whatever's happening, even though it has more to do with economic and stuff that's going in time, or some new managers coming in and cleaning up. So taking a step back, these massive job layoffs are coming. So what did he say about how people can say, prevent the impact on them in the future?
Well, they can adopt AI. I don't know if that's what he said. I can't remember, but that's what people can do. People can learn to use AI, learn to leverage it, and be comfortable with it. I don't know if that's what he said. I can't remember. It was a really long article, but yeah.
Yeah, so AI does threaten entry-level jobs while supercharging profits for companies owning powerful AI. Like, you don't need huge, for example, social media companies anymore if you can program the right social media agents to do the things you want properly. However, that's a risky situation because tools are countering AI. People are detecting social media on AI on social media, and they're like not following or not responding to people that look like it's obvious AI comments or obvious AI posts and that kind of stuff. So we are in a, say, culture war of, we want the best of both worlds. We want AI tools to help us do this work, and we want them human, and we want to keep our jobs, and we want all this functionality rolled into one. It's not going to happen, right? So we have to kind of understand that when these new technologies come along that really are game changers, society has to change with it. Productivity has to change with it. Go ahead.
Yeah, research has also validated this. So there was a 2025 study that revealed that while 85 million jobs will be displaced by 2025, I think that's high, but 97 million new roles will simultaneously emerge. So they're saying this represents a net positive job creation. But the study also found that 77% of new AI jobs, they require master's degrees, which creates a skills gap. So it suggests that the transition is not going to be smooth. and displaced workers may lack qualifications for emerging roles. I disagree with this master's degree kind of thing when it comes to AI.
Well, I think they're going at the AI jobs that are the coders for OpenAI and Meta and whatnot. Okay, yeah, great. Maybe they're looking for specific master's degrees in specific areas of coding or philosophy or whatever to work with AI. However, the most of the people I know that work with AI every day don't have those things.
Yeah. Even coding AI, like as long as you know Python and I don't think that, like, I think there's room for people without master's degrees to code AI.
I honestly believe that the best coder I know doesn't have a degree, and he's built so many swarm coding platforms that are open source that with well over 200,000 stars on GitHub. Like it's amazing stuff. You don't have to. My saying is they are drawing the blueprint at what the job listings are at OpenAI and Meta at the AI company, saying these are the AI jobs.
Yeah.
If you want to be the guys building the LLMs inside these companies at a high level, you need a certain level of degrees. Like if you're working inside them, it's okay, great. But if you're working with them, again, training, the tools are all out there, and it's faster and better every day. How to train, how to use, how to build agents, how to put all this stuff together, and what I can do today, tomorrow I can do 10 times more.
Yeah. And also, the other thing too is Hinton in this article, he lamented that the Trump administration's unwillingness to regulate AI more closely, while China is taking the threat more seriously, creates sort of a geopolitical dimension where different regulatory approaches could determine whether AI development prioritizes societal benefit or competitive advantage.
Yeah, and this goes, leads us to the UBI conversation, right? Universal basic income. And he specifically rejected universal basic income as a solution to AI-induced unemployment. He argues that cash payments fail to address the psychological and social impact of job loss, which I agree with. People get their worth from their jobs. They have a sense of self-worth and value from delivering something of value, to give a good day's work. This is what I do, and I hold value with this. UI won't deal with the human dignity perspective. So there's I'm on, I would really like UBI to work, but I think it will never will side of the point of that conversation. I think you're on the other side, that you think UBI will work, and that's okay. I mean, I'm
improving the work in studies.
Yeah. I think we could have a separate whole debate about that, because we're way off topic here, but I love to go through that. So let's find an article of that in the future about what's going on, so we can debate that, because I think that'd be a great discussion. But it's the motivation aspect. Okay, so society falls apart when people aren't motivated. So if you give people today UBI and $2,000 a month, I'm just throwing it out there, they're going to sit at home on their couch, order Uber Eats, smoke their weed or vapes, and play video games all day long. That's all.
Not everyone.
Oh, not everyone. No. But the mass majority of people.
Okay.
On UBI. Because the point being is, you can start and do something now. If you're on unemployment, you can start a community, you can create art, you can do all these things, but those things aren't happening. And we are a different generation than a generation that's coming up now. Okay. So our mindset is different than the 20 and 30-year-olds that are happening now. And it's a completely different mindset. They don't have the same drive, work ethic, the sense of hard day's work, because they don't have the same family home. They didn't grow up with the same ethics. It's different. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying it's different. Our father taught us, you do what you say you're going to do. You do a hard day's work. You're proud of your work. You're not embarrassed about it. If you do something wrong, you fix it, blah, blah, blah. You own up to your mistakes, and if you don't have that bounding when you have dinner every day with your family and get that ingrained in you, then you don't have that. And we don't have dinner around the table anymore. We have shift work. We have this, we have that. And, just society changes. So that's why I say when UBI, that method of, I want to go and create, like someone like me, I'd still be creating communities and doing the things I'm doing because I love doing this. So it would just free me up to do some of those things, but I can make money doing it this much. But people who aren't, they're not going to be motivated to do things on this. So how do you address that? So let's not go away with this. He suggested that UBI won't fix the inadequacy of the issue of, say, okay, we have a whole generation now that are working and making X number of dollars a year salary, paying their rent, doing whatever, in a relationship where they can pay their bills, doing what have you. 2 years from now, they're on UBI. What does that do to your mental state? What does that do to your life and your relationship? What does that do to the stuff around you? This is what I'm saying. UBI doesn't take your human dignity, doesn't take all that. If you go
Doesn't it allow you to focus on what you love?
My point being is, you're in a situation where you're defined by your work in your relationship, what have you, and all of a sudden you don't have that anymore. So that value goes away.
But but without the stress of where am I going to get my next dollar from, doesn't that allow you to focus on what you want to do?
I think that's a different mindset. So that's my point being is, if you grow up in a state saying, I need to do something, it doesn't matter what I do, I'm going to have UBI support me, but here's what I do. That's great. That's one thing. That's another thing of saying, I've had to have a job all of my life to support myself, and now I can't support myself. UBI could be taken away from me anytime. My spouse doesn't respect me because I'm not working. I feel less about myself because I can't get a fucking job anymore. Like, this is what goes through people's mind. You can say it frees people up, but the impact is psychological. It's not, okay, oh, I can do stuff now. It's, wow, I can't even make my own living and earn my own way in this world anymore. What happened to me? Mm-hmm. So there's a difference there. I mean, some people will take it, hey, I'm freed up, but I think that's the minority. I think people tie their self-worth on their income, their relationship rate on how much money you can bring in. All of a sudden you're on UBI. That's great, but you can't afford the mortgage anymore, and you're half of it, and your spouse is like, what's going on? Like, there's a lot to unpack in that situation when you go from a full-time career job to not. That is a different situation than growing up into a world of UBI where you have options. So that's all. Anyway, and I think he's right where he say it doesn't deal with the human dignity situation of the, how you think about yourself.
But I think that's it. I think it's the shift that's going to shift everything to make UBI more of a palatable option.
We'll see.
Like, it's going to force it, right? So
anyway. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know how this works, and I'm not optimistic about it, but I hope it does, because it's a solution. I hope they find a way to make it work and that it helps our society, but I just can't see how that's going to happen. Yeah. Anyway, we got a little bit off, but this is the whole thing. Actually, it's all aligned. Is AI going to take all the jobs away? Do you see a utopia future where people don't have to work and they actually living a productive society life? Or do you see a reclusive life like I do, where people are just sitting on their couch, smoking weed, playing video games all day because they have no motivation to do anything because food and drink and everything's paid for? Life is good. Tell me what you think is the future with AI. Is everybody going to have a job? Is AI going to run the world? Are we all going to be in prison camps for AI doing the physical things that it can't do? Is Skynet 5 years away? Let us know. We'd love to hear your comments. This was interesting.
Yeah.
Let's dive into robots printing floor plans on houses or industrial factories. Autonomous printers that turn BIM files into perfect lines on concrete, cutting errors, time, and costs. So this little robot, you give it the blueprints, and it actually goes along the whole floor and prints out exactly where everything goes and what it should be, so there's no mistakes. This sounds pretty impressive. What's going on here, John?
Yeah, so I really like this. I think this is the next step in just robots fully building buildings, which it pretty much happens in China with the prefab stuff, but this is a little different. So The innovation here lies in the seamless transition of what's called building information modeling, or it's known as BIM in the industry. And so it translates the data into robotic instructions through IFC file formats. So how this works is the process begins with converting 3D BIM models into 2D CAD files, which are optimized for robot interpretation. So the advanced algorithms then parse geometric and semantic information. They extract precise coordinate data for walls, MEP systems, and architectural elements. And then the robots, they utilize these robotic total stations with integrated prisms for real-time positioning, and they can achieve within plus or minus 3 millimeters through triangulation and distance measurement the accuracy of putting this down. And so these BIM robotics, the integration, it kind of represents a paradigm shift from this traditional paper-based layouts to fully digital construction workflows. And the reason for this is because you have these, well, now it's on tablets, but like you have these big papers, these CAD drawing papers that people are referencing on where to put things. And sometimes people mess up, human error. This can eliminate it, right? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we got the video on the screen for those people watching as an example of the robot and what it looks like doing stuff. It just seemed to stop the video. Stop there. Anyway, I'll keep going. What the result on the floor as it zooms in. Having done construction like this, this is actually very impressive. I don't quite know how much time this saves, but it does save time and money and accuracy, as you can see exactly what goes where. Like, it's pretty darn precise. And
yeah, I don't think it's so much of a time saver as a money saver from eliminating errors.
Yeah, it's faster builds, fewer errors, lower cost, better quality, early move-ins, safer job sites. So based on all of this, right? The digital to physical process, you upload the digital floor plan, the cloud system, robot receives and processes the layout, and then autonomous navigates to precise locations and direct printing of lines, arcs, points. You know, it's quite impressive. If you were looking at that video, it looks really great. It offers multi-surface printing capabilities, real-time obstacle detection and avoidance, so it's better than your like Roomba. Weather-resistant operation, simultaneous multi-trade layout printing. So if you're doing construction for home or electrical or whatever, right, you know, different things it can do that handle all of that.
Yeah.
So speed and efficiency gains, the layout speed improvements up to 10%, 10 times compared to traditional methods. Complete site layouts finished in 2 hours rather than days. Reduced project timelines through elimination of layout bottlenecks. Layout is accurate up to 1/16 of an inch at 600 DPI, which eliminates interpretational errors between design and construction, real-time verification, allowing early detection of design issues and consistent quality regardless of weather conditions. So the cost reduction is 30 to 86% cost reductions in layout tasks, depending on the project complexity.
That's crazy. Yeah. And just to kind of like the construction robotics market itself is experiencing this crazy growth. So right now, in 2024, it was valued at 1.37 billion. It's projected to reach almost 13 billion by 2033, which is an annual growth rate of like 15.5%. So like this isn't the reason why I'm bringing this up is this isn't just some fad. This isn't just some, oh, this would be nice to have. These robots and more like these are going to be game changers in the construction industry.
Yeah, and there's some in our article here on TorontoStarts.com. We list some of the real world case studies that demonstrate the impact. This isn't dreaming up stuff. So Genco's multi-trade layout project saved 80,000 in direct labor costs using this robotics technology, substantially saving allowed company to reallocate labor resources and take on additional work, demonstrating how automation can drive business growth. You know.
Yeah.
This Art Lab Studios trade show project allowed 10 times productivity improvements. You imagine that as a trade show, you can go on the trade show, tell this robot what to do, and it actually goes layouts where every booth should be on the floor, automatically for you in a couple of hours, so you don't have to stand there oh, your booth is here, your booth is here. Get some, like, I would imagine that would be so incredible. Completed their full site layout 3 times faster with HP site print technology. Oh, that's interesting. HP site print. We're not just doing paper anymore. We're building buildings.
Yeah.
Life science facilities experience improved team collaboration and early detection of layout issues in CAD before implementation using Dusty robots. So they were proactively able to diagnose problems because they use this method. And the lift build project solved critical balance challenges that would have been too time consuming to address manually. The robotic precision enabled complex geometric layouts that would have been practically impossible with traditional methods. So I'm really impressed what this looks like.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited for this. I'm excited to see what other robots would pair or kind of help to augment and like what's going to be designed next to kind of take this to the next level, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah. So when you have that, to me, this is like when I'm building a workflow or an AI agent, what's the source of truth? What's the source? And now we say, oh, okay. First thing you do is build the source of truth. Where does the information come from and where do I store it? So I get it from here and here and here. Now we know. We can say, okay, a source of truth is the BIM document that feeds this robot. It prints it on the ground, and that is the source of truth for every other construction robot that does electrical or whatever. Okay, I know where the walls go. I'm going to build them. It's printed on the ground. I can see exactly where everything goes. I can cut the holes. I can do what have you. So now it's the next step to being able to automate more and more of what's going on the floor without being able to tell it exactly where, what to do, and how big it is and all that stuff. You're a little bit at a loss. Now you have that precision. You can now add more robots to the flow as you have a source of truth for what they should do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And now that you have kind of a source of truth, kind of a no error kind of layout, you can now add another autonomous robot to kind of take it to the next step.
Yeah, so this is really cool in the construction industry. I'm interested in hearing from anybody who's using these robots or anything else similar, because it sounds like great technology would have saved me a bunch of time back in the day when I was working construction. If chalk lines built cities, robots will build the future. Subscribe and share and let us know what you think. And if you're interested, book a free automation audit over at flowgrammars.ca. We'd love to hear what you think. All right, let me go over here. Yeah, all right. The Britannica Merriam-Webster versus Perplexity copyright fight. Did an answer engine copy, misattribute, and siphon traffic? Let's unpack the legal stakes, business fallout, and what founders should do now. So I guess we should really talk about the basis of this, in that dictionaries copyright their definitions.
Yeah.
And I don't think general public understands that. If you go to the Merriam-Webster dictionary and see that definition, that is theirs. They have copyrighted it.
I did not know that.
If you go to someone else's, it'll have changed words slightly because that's what happened. So that's kind of probably the basis for most of this. So let's get into what's going on here, John.
Yeah. So I didn't know that the definitions were copyrighted. I did not know that. I thought, yeah, that was interesting to learn.
And just so you know, this is why they are so quick to coin and define new words. We're like, why is that a word? Because if they define it, they copyright it, and that's why they're so quick to do that at a dictionary level. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, that makes sense. That it makes total sense now. So Perplexity's legal troubles, they're stemming from its use of RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation technology. And it differs significantly from traditional AI training approaches. So while companies like OpenAI train models on historical data sets, RAG systems actively search the web in real time to retrieve current information for each user query, which is what Perplexity does, which is why it's great for current research. So the US Copyright Office May 2025 report specifically noted that RAG requires separate consideration from standard AI training because it retrieves targeted words for the purpose of enhancing the prompt output. So unlike pre-training with diverse data sets, RAG is less likely to be transformative, where the purpose is to generate outputs that summarize or abridge copyrighted works. So this technical distinction makes Perplexity's defense more challenging because as courts may view real-time content extraction differently from training data usage under the fair use doctrine. So just to make what's the bottom line in this? So the case represents a new front in AI copyright battles, where the issue isn't just training data, but it's also real-time content scraping that directly competes with original publishers' data models. Essentially, what they're doing is they're pulling away traffic from Merriam-Webster and Britannica's websites, which is in turn affecting their ad revenue, right? So crazy stuff going on. Didn't realize a lot of stuff, a lot of realizations reading this article. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, and again, I've known that copyright thing for a while, and people don't understand, that. It's just fine. As long as you know that, a lot of other pieces fall into place, why they're doing certain things and why dictionaries are still relevant and whatnot.
Yeah.
So they've scraped all this information, and this goes back to the Google AI summary case. It's very similar where it's scraping the data from sources and then surfacing it to you when you ask a question, even though so many times it's wrong. And we really need to seriously take a look at that more than anything else. It's a massive problem. People aren't going to the website. Traffic has dropped to the end sites completely across the board, and it's no different for Britannica sites. Merriam-Webster, they estimate that Perplexity's practices have diverted over 200 million monthly user sessions away from their official platforms. So that's a massive traffic diversion. It represents significant loss of revenue for the 256-year-old publisher, which relies on the website visit, subscriptions, and advertising revenue. So, I mean, in our previous article, we were talking about AI and job losses. Like, there's a lot of stuff coming here. As we're all going to have our own AIs that have all these definitions or have whatever inside them at some point, even if they're our own interpretation, our own what have you, so we don't break copyright. That means we're not going to be going to sites like this and other ones in the future. So business models have to change. The way we circulate information, it's going to be less free and more guarded in the future because of what's happening here. So it'll be interesting where this goes. So the complaint argues that when user receives Britannica content through Perplexity's answer engine, they no longer need to visit the original Britannica site. So again, if you do research, if you do this through any of these agents and they search 30 sources and they give you the thing and then produce a report, should they have to pay someone for that? Should we have to pay someone for that?
Well, that's the thing is they like all of these companies have been using data and information pretty much for free, right? They've been scraping and using all this. So if it's copyrighted data, yeah, I think you should have to pay for it. People, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
People have spent money, they've spent time, they've spent energy and effort putting together the information. Now, this is based on the current landscape, and I don't know how copyright is going to come into play going forward. But as of right now, based on current market, I would say yes, you should have to pay for that.
Yeah, and so the world's going to have to change. I don't know what the future of economics around this is going to look like. So where, we're going to have to really look at it and say, okay, Perplexity is going to have to pay them every time they surface an answer. But if they search 10 things, is it different? Do I have to pay them, 10 cents versus 1 cent if I only search one thing?
Yeah.
And if I'm paying them, then does that mean more money for our end users? So every time we make a Google search, do we have to pay more? Or not Google search, but a Perplexity search, what have you. So the economics of all this is going to change because the more we have to pay, the more we're going to go back to old ways, or the more we're going to find our own ways. The more they lock information behind so we can't get it at it. And they try to do the laws of pulling it out of LLMs and whatnot, because it looks like that's going to kind of trend. Okay, this is copyright information. You can't have this in your database anymore. We'll have to see, right?
Yeah, but so at the same time, like, how much would that cost? You have, let's say 50 million users paying $20 a month. You increase that by $1, there's 50 million extra dollars that you have.
Absolutely. But my point being is we don't know the usage pattern.
Yeah.
So is the average user doing 100 searches, 1,000, 10,000? Like, what's the distribution? Are we going to go to a Spotify market? We're saying, okay, we're just going to share our revenue, and a certain percentage of our revenue now goes to these companies based on, usage. I actually see more of that likely, because it is easier to manage.
Yeah.
It may not be more accurate. It may not be the best model, but I could definitely see say, all right, you're going to have to pay money to some organization that then doles out money to news sources or sources of information and figures all that out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
At least that's a thought. This case won't just shape what Merriam-Webster or Perplexity does. It could set up the playbook for AI licensing, attribution, and revenue sharing across the web. So stay smart, cite sources, and be respectful when you use this stuff. Let us know what you think. Is this going to change? What do you think the future is around AI hallucinations and feeding this AI information where you're doing AI summaries and not getting to the final pages?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Speaking of Spotify.
Yeah, I'm just finding my oh yeah, there it is. Okay. Spotify, I haven't changed the thing. Today we're unpacking Spotify's newly updated terms of service. What's really changed and what Spotify AI ban does and doesn't mean that's circulating the internet, and how creators, everyday listeners, should adapt right now. We'll cut through the legal fog, decode the licensing language, and give you a practical moves so your music, podcasts, and workflows stay future-proof. So they're calling it a Spotify AI ban, but that's not really what's going on here at all. I don't know why that's the news. Oh, Spotify's banning AI. When you start looking at the term and service, the AI stuff is rather ambiguous, but the other stuff is very detailed. What's going on here, John?
Yeah, so it's essentially Spotify is doing what all of these other companies are doing in giving themselves free use to your music. It's not a ban on AI, it's a ban on using your stuff outside of their platform, essentially, right?
Yes.
So it's crazy. So their updated terms, they've implemented this multi-layered prohibition against third-party AI training. That is what spans across their user guidelines, developer policy, privacy policy, all that sort of stuff. The user guidelines explicitly state that users cannot engage in using any part of the service or content to train a machine learning or AI model, creating kind of a blanket protection against any form of data extraction for AI purposes. So this essentially mirrors language for the applications for Spotify's web API, stating developers can't use the Spotify platform for any of this stuff. So the thing is they've kind of created an AI for me, but not for the policy, if that makes sense. So they're protecting their own platform, and allowing themselves to use your data, like as in the user's data, to do anything they want, but no one else can use it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So their content policies is significantly expanded under these new terms. The platform now reserves the right to remove content at any time for any reason with no obligation to tell you. The broad authority gives Spotify unprecedented control over user-generated content. When a user uploads content to Spotify, they grant the platform extensive licensing rights according to the updated terms. Users provide Spotify with a non-exclusive transferable sub-license royalty-free, fully paid, irrevocable, worldwide license to reproduce, make available, perform, and display, translate, modify, create derivative works from, distribute, and otherwise use any such user content. Wow.
Yeah.
So
it gives Adobe vibes.
yeah, so this allows Spotify to modify your content without permission, create derivative works from your uploads, distribute your content globally, sub-license your content to third parties, or use your content for commercial purposes. And apparently they're changing their geographical restrictions where users in Nigeria receive only Nigerian version of Spotify. Users in the United States access only the US version. Other countries have similar restrictions. So these geographic limitations impact podcasters and content creators with international audiences. Creators can no longer easily reach listeners across different regions. Availability becomes tied to specific geographical versions of their platform.
Yeah.
So I guess I use the Spotify widget to promote our podcast. I use a bunch of different platforms, and now I'm like, do I have to put another widget up there? They just happen to have the best looking widget. But if people can't access it from other countries, like if we're a Canadian podcast and can't access it outside of North America, what's going on here? And Spotify's AI policy remains one of the most confusing aspects of the updated terms. Despite widespread discussion about it being a ban, the actual provisions are ambiguous and open to interpretations. Spotify's broad licensing rights over content include the ability to create, modify. We've talked about that, and that none verified sources confirm Spotify's ban on third-party AI training or clarify whether Spotify will train in its own models on user data. So nothing says whether they will train third parties, get it outside, do all the stuff to it. So the uncertainties are whether third-party AI companies can access Spotify content, how Spotify's own AI features are uploaded content, and what protections exist for creators concerned about AI training. So, and how licensing term may apply to AI generated content. So there's a lot going on here. There's also, they've updated their stuff about subscription changes and billing procedures. So the billing procedure changes appear to focus on clarification of existing billing practices, updating user guidelines for subscriptions, and potential modifications to cancellating policies, and enhance transparency for subscription management. So there was concern that they could change the pricing at any time and not really tell you. So I think they're trying to clarify some of that, but it sounds like they haven't really done that 100%.
No, they haven't. On a positive note, they finally released lossless audio.
Yes.
So you have to actually manually go in and change it. So it is in Canada, so I have changed it. But yeah, so like these policy changes kind of reflect a broader industry movement toward protecting platform data from AI companies. But they're kind of taking a step in the wrong direction when it comes to their internal how they're able to use user data. So they're saying, no, you can't. External AI companies, or anyone external can't use our data, but we can. We can use it for whatever we want, and you have no rights to your data anymore. Essentially, the second you start using Spotify, second you upload a song, it's not yours essentially anymore.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to highlight again for podcasters is that content may not appear in all international markets anymore. So all of a sudden, your listeners drop by half, by more than a half, because you have a global market. This is a result. Audience analysis becomes regionally segmented. Cross-border collaboration becomes more complex, and marketing strategies must account for your geographical limitations. So all of a sudden, you shouldn't be advertising in countries that they can't get your podcast anymore, and things change. So you need to be aware of those things and what to do about them.
Yeah. Just if anyone does want to cancel, I think you have until September 26th to opt out by canceling your subscription. So
if you remember one thing, policy shifts like this change the playing field overnight. Diversify, automate, and keep your rights literacy sharp. Always be looking at the terms of service and what they're doing. And we try to cover this when they make dramatic changes, because they just keep trying to take away our rights. And it's very concerning. We need to be aware around this. So let us know what your thoughts are on this. Is this going to change your view of Spotify or not? We'd love to hear your thoughts. All right, John, you want to do one more?
Sure.
Quantum router or graphene physics?
Whatever one. It's not just graphene physics, it's breaking physics.
All right, then graphene physics it is.
Sorry, breaking physics laws, yeah.
Electrons acting like perfect liquid in graphene. Think traffic turning into synchronized swimmers. No crashes, no jams. We'll break down what Dirac fluid. How would you pronounce it?
I can't remember.
Okay.
Dirac. Sorry, Dirac. Yeah. Dirac.
All right, let's start again, and we'll use Dirac. Electrons acting like a perfect liquid in graphene. Think traffic turning into synchronized swimmers. No crashes, no jams. We'll break down what the Dirac fluid is, why it shatters a century-old rule of physics, and how it could rewrite sensors, chips, and even our understanding of the universe. From lab benches to black holes. Let's dive into this weird, beautiful future of frictionless electrons. What's going on here, John?
Yeah, this is crazy. So they've essentially achieved something that sounds impossible, where they made graphene break a fundamental law of physics that's held true for over 200 years, or almost 200 years. So the Wiedemann-Franz law states that in metals, electric conductivity and thermal conductivity, which is how well materials conduct electricity versus heat, they always rise and fall together. So like two dancers moving in sync. But in ultra clean graphene samples, researchers have discovered the exact opposite. So as electrical conductivity increased, thermal conductivity decreased, and vice versa. This violation was dramatic and more than 200 times larger than the law predicted. So the breakthrough occurred at graphene's Dirac point, which is a special electronic state where the material is neither a metal nor an insulator. And so electrons at this point stop behaving as individual particles. Instead, they flow together like a nearly perfect liquid, which is 100 times less viscous than water and resembles the exotic quark gluon plasma, which is created in particle accelerators. So what's crazy about this is this just doesn't rewrite physics textbooks. It opens up new possibilities for, wait for it, quantum sensors, and provides a tabletop window into extreme physics, usually reserved for black holes and cosmic phenomena. So this is nuts. This is great for electronics. This is great for electricity. This is great for everything. But what are your thoughts on this, Craig? Do you think this is a pie in the sky, or do you think this is legit?
I think it's legit. It's cool to, like, every time we talk about graphene, something new comes out. Scientists describe this behavior as similar to quark gluon plasma, the type of plasma that only exists in extreme conditions, like inside particle accelerators or the core of stars. finding similar behavior in graphene at room conditions is remarkable. So it shows that heat and electricity can decouple, defying the usual, like you said, Weiderman-Franz law by 200 times, and opens a new hydrodynamic regime for electronics, design devices by steering electron fluids, not particles. So we could start seeing this in biosensors that detect molecules or nerve level signals, magnetometers that work indoors and off grid without GVS for navigation, computing energy, cooler chips with ultra efficient power electronics, better thermal management, and tabletop experiments for science that mimic extreme cosmic physics. So this will, like, it's opening up a whole new world for us.
Yeah, it is. And so this establishes graphene as kind of a platform for studying quantum critical phenomena, which typically requires extreme conditions like those found, like you said, in neutron stars and black hole events. So the ability to access these strongly coupled quantum critical behavior at relatively accessible laboratory conditions, it opens up avenues for testing theoretical predictions from string theory, holographic duality, quantum field theory, and a whole bunch more. So it also suggests that the condensed matter experiments could provide insights into fundamental particle physics and cosmology. I know this is, again, getting high up there, but as far as technical goes, but this is really cool. I've always loved graphene as a material. I think it's that, and carbon nanotubes are our future for a lot of things, and this just proves it, or helps to prove it.
So this could revolutionize things like computer processors that don't generate any heat, power transmission lines with zero loss, electronic devices that work at quantum speeds, and thermal management systems with perfect control. Like it opens up a whole lot of things. And beyond the practical implication, discovery connects tabletop experiments to cosmic phenomenon. So researchers can now study entanglement, entropy, scaling using graphene samples, black hole thermodynamics in laboratory conditions, quantum phase transitions at room temperature, and high energy physics phenomenon without particle accelerators. So this really is a game changer on many levels. And according to my researchers, we're going to see early lab prototypes now, early specialized sensor measurement gear in 3 to 6 years, and consumer facing wins through thermal management or low loss electronics later in the decade.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think. As we're coming close to the end of the time here, we'd love to get your feedback on this. Is this going to change electronics, physics in the future as we know it? From smashing the Wiedemann-Franz law to channeling quark-gluon plasma vibes, graphene's direct fluid is more than a curiosity. It's a blueprint. Expect ultra-sensitive sensors, cooler electronics, and new tabletop cosmology. Keep your eyes on materials plus device physics collabs, because the next decade of quantum practical tech may flow straight through graphene. We'd love to hear your feedback.
Yeah.
All right. So, what do you got going on, John?
Oh, just working away, helping companies secure government funding. Maybe heading to a couple events. Not sure what's coming up. So, this will probably come out after Elevate.
Yeah.
So, Elevate probably would have been a great time. But yeah, how about you, Craig? What do you have?
So assuming this is out in November, we've got a Flowgrammer event and a Toronto Startup Investor Drinks. If you're in the GTA area and want to learn or be part of a Flowgrammer, N8N, or vibe coding meetup group, join us. Go to flowgrammer.ca and check out the upcoming events and join us. If you want to find out more about how to take your startup to the next level, head over to torontostarts.com. Our events there, Startup Investor Drinks. So we do monthly. It's open bar, open pitch. It's an intimate event, and the conversations are next level. So check all that out there, and we'll see you in the future. Anything else, John?
No, that's it.
So thanks, everyone, for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment. We really appreciate it. Have a great one.